Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode number 84. This one reviewing the 85th episode of the anime, Heart of Stone. This one it takes place in two different areas. Well, actually, we have three different areas where it takes place, where it cuts to, anyways. Mostly, this episode is just Boruto, Okanai, and who was the other one? Oh yeah, and this Genin who showed up during the tuning exam arc named Siki, I think his name is. It's not Shiki, the one from the Sand Villains. Yeah, this is Siki. Siki, I think it's how you pronounce the guy's name. And he comes to this valley, which is a training area, which Boruto got there in the last episode by accident. Yeah, he didn't realize though he was in this particular training area, which apparently no one uses anymore. And yet this Genin apparently found it, and he wants to find his Heartstone. Okay, and it seems like this episode is more of a character episode for this character who only appeared for like two episodes, like during the tuning exam. And it's nice you get a chance to know a little bit about him, the fact he had a grandmother who also had back problems, just like Okanai did. Again, Okanai had back rub, and apparently it works. Yep. They don't mention who his grandmother is in this episode, yes. And he does eventually find the Heartstone while avoiding a giant wolf. Yes, a giant wolf. Not surprising that the series has a giant wolf because we have a giant snake. We've had giant snakes, giant toads, slugs, fish, and I think even giant birds. So a giant wolf is not bad. No. So he's able to find it due to thinking about his grandmother, and the thing just magically appears in his hand. And then eventually, after they take out this particular bird, this particular wolf, thanks to a move he pulled out a couple times, this thing doesn't require chakra. It's this big punch. And it's very effective. Now, Boruto notices that he's not lying. The fact this is a very effective punch because, from Seki's perspective, he thinks the move is useless because he never really tried it out before. And then Boruto sort of, they fly up and they jump up in the air. He sort of kicks him with his feet, taps on his feet and pushes him and does this big punch. Almost looks like a Superman style punch. Punches him really hard, punches Wolf really hard right between the eyes. And he just runs away scared, and then eventually, because he finds the Heartstone, and lights up a path to exit the valley, and that's where they last see him. There's a little bit of Konohamaru in this episode, where he finds Okanai's more bodyguard, who's on the run from the Anku from two episodes back. And you see him for this one brief scene. You see Konohamaru pop up a couple more times. I think he's just looking after him because he's probably somebody that Naruto knows, so he knows to protect him. And of course, the guy who had been technically ruling in Kanatsushi's place while she's been missing, even though she's actually out captive by him. And he gets knocked unconscious. My guess is Konohamaru must have did it. They don't show it. It's just that he just somehow fell over unconscious, even though I think Konohamaru must have did it anyways. And of course, the scientist guy who is working for a crew, yeah, he is having trouble with the curse mark, trying to figure out a way to get around it. And it requires a human heart, so they bring in Shikadai, who is able to avoid anesthesia. I know what this thing is because I've seen medical shows, so I know what this thing is. Yeah, it's a mass. It's basically a chemical. It's kind of like chloroform, but this is more effective. But he blocked it thanks to his special shadow jutsu, which apparently the scientists didn't know the fact that he actually he did the hand sign while he was being tied up. Yeah, so he's able to surpass that by choking his own throat. And so he did hit a little bit. He's able to get away, no problem. And so basically the scene that basically teases it looked like it was gonna take up like a good chunk of the episode. Yeah, it's only for this one scene, and that's it. And then Shikadai is never seen again the rest of the episode. He's probably gonna come back next week's episode as well. And two of the members of Crew's artificial humans, they're suffering to decay. They're in looks like regeneration tubes. And the end of the episode reveals that Ku is also suffering from degeneration as well. The way the episode shows it off is that Ku takes off one of his gloves, and it shows his looks like I think it's supposed to be his left hand. There's cracks in his skin, so he's getting it too. Okay, this is interesting. This arc might, I mean, the way it looks from the teaser from next week, it doesn't look like this arc is going to wrap up next episode. No, my guess, probably about 2 or 3 more before this arc is finally finished. Yes. I gotta say, so far, it's actually, well, for this episode, it's actually really good, and it does advance the episode well. In the case of what's going on with Konohamaru, it just seemed like that Konohamaru was just basically thrown into this episode. It's like maybe there was more stuff with him in this episode that was cut, probably due to time. That's my personal guess. Because it seems like those Konohamaru have more things to do in this episode, and maybe there was more screen time for him. Overall, he didn't get very much. I mean, if you count how much screen time he gets in this episode, it's less than when he got in the last episode he appeared, which he appeared in that episode for a good 5 or 6 minutes. Last episode he was actually 2 episodes back. This episode he's here for like a good, like, you see him, it seems like he's on screen for a good, like, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and that's it. You always see him very briefly, like climbing up the wall or avoiding the Anku, and that's really it. Yeah. Otherwise, that's really it. It's a pretty good episode, and it definitely does enhance the plot. It doesn't feel like, though. Plus, it also teases stuff with next week's episode, with Okanai revealing the reasoning, like he's gonna take Boruto someplace, and explain, like, give an explanation of why he's doing this. Maybe we're going to see his grandson's grave. That's a possibility. And as for how he's related to Konosuchi, who is his granddaughter, I think this boy might be the one who actually apparently died. I think he's supposed to be sort of her little brother or cousin of hers. I don't know. They never really explained him. Yeah. Good. It's a good episode, but I mean, this episode doesn't have pacing problems. No. It just seems like this episode could have been a little bit longer. Yes. It seemed like there was some cuts with this episode. Yes. Probably from the look of it, it looks like in the case of Konohamaru that there was some edits involving him this episode, that maybe there was more screen time with him. And it was cut due to not pacing, but probably because they only can allow a 22-minute time slot. And my guess is they don't want to stretch this out for a full half hour. That's my personal guess anyways. And plus also, maybe they're saving his stuff for next week's episode, because the way it looks from teasers next week, looks like they're going to show what Okanai's going to show Boruto. Excuse me, looks like the Hidden Stone Village is going to put on a martial law. Yeah, with Akanu just march around the village like they're stormtroopers. Yeah, that's what it seems like Ku is doing. It seems like he's taking out the village, and he's putting on the martial law for some reason. Yeah, he decided, like, okay, now let's take out the village. He also points out, though, in this episode, he wants to human up. He does not want to sacrifice, like, people of the Hidden Stone Village. So that's the reason why Shikadai was brought in, because he's not from the Hidden Stone, he's from the Hidden Leaf. So Ku does this. It seems like Ku just does whatever the heck he wants. That's what it seems like to me when it comes to him anyways. One thing, he doesn't even listen to, well, the guy who's supposed to be the clone of, like, his actual fight. Doesn't listen to him at all. He just does whatever the heck he wants. Okay? So yeah, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for my next review when I get a chance to finish reading it, which is the 25th light novel of High School DxD. And maybe today I might get a chance to do the next episode of Dragon Ball Super if it gets uploaded today. I'm sure it probably will. It just depends on when it comes up, okay? But until you see you next review, bye.